Welcome to Canucks Last Week, where I try to cover everything Canucks hockey before the entire team gets injured. Finn! No, look out behind you! Gritty's there! No! Not Finn, too! Berchi, Beagle, Edler, Tanev, Nielsen, Sutter, all of them are out. I sound like Arya Stark and her death list. At least we had the return of Petey doing his deeks and the Brockstar. We'll start with the Pittsburgh game. That was a huge yikes on Hockey Night in Canada. It got out of hand very quickly. Thankfully, Elias Pettersson in his return put our worries to rest about his concussion. In his first shift, he knocked down the puck in the neutral zone out of the air and was in for a breakaway. It almost got around to Smith before being tripped and drawing a penalty. Nice to have you back. But then the star power came out and Gino, Sid, and Phil took over the game. I'm not going to say much about this game, but I will drop this stat in here. A line centered by a 19-year-old and flanked by two wingers who are 21 and 23 going up against some of the best players in the world in Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin were not on the ice for a goal in a 5-0 loss. They were the Canucks' best line that night, and that says a lot. We'll move on to the Minnesota Wild game, and Elias Pettersson is doing it all. He is laying his body on the line, blocking shots, and he's winning battles in the corner. His speed is continuing to impress me, and I think a lot of that has to do with his hockey sense in knowing where to be before anyone else does, and he gets to those spots quickly. He is making it very clear that he is not too small for the NHL. Size does not measure heart, and he is showing it in full colors. I know it's Horvat's C to lose, but like, EP's a very strong choice, and I can see it. It's funny what hope does. I was about to make a video talking about how rough it was to watch this team with all of its injuries, but then all it takes was a 2-goal performance, 2 beautiful goals might I add, by a super rookie to completely change the tone of this video and to change basically a mindset of an entire city. So this week's Player of the Week, I have to give it to Ben Hutton, especially with the injuries to Alex Edler and Chris Tanev. Since those two have been out of the lineup, Hutton has led the Canucks defense in ice time. He's been averaging 26 minutes and 8 seconds a night in the past 4 games, and he's looked very strong doing so. His 5-on-5 Corsi is also right at 50%, which is pretty good considering the Canucks went 2-2. Including a 5-0 loss to the Pens. He's also been a +1. Alright, so now for some thoughts. I covered this in my analysis of EP's hockey IQ and how it makes him an elite 200-foot player, but since his return, I am even more sure of this. His reads are incredible. The amount of pucks he's able to bat out of the air or block with his body is ridiculous. He literally reads minds, and he does it in such a way that's so unorthodox that really the only way I can describe him is out of this world. He's extraterrestrial. I don't like overreactions or making comparisons. We're only 7 games into his young NHL career, but if he can keep this up and at this rate, it really is looking like that he could have a Pavel Datsyuk-like impact all over the ice. The Canucks have never had a perennial Selke candidate before. Absolutely ridiculous. So with injuries to Sutter and Beagle, 2 guys that Green has been heavily relying upon for defensive responsibilities, a majority of that workload will now be rested upon Horvat's shoulders. Yes, Gaudette and Pettersson will be given more responsibility, and I have a feeling they're going to rise to the occasion, but still a lot of the onus will be on Bo Horvat. Now, he's definitely not a stranger to heavy defensive zone start usage, but I am very curious about how this affects his very hot start to the season offensively. Currently, he's on pace for 63 points. To follow up with these D-zone starts, Adam Gaudette has looked very strong, especially as of late. He took on some shifts against some hard Minnesota Wild opponents, and he didn't look out of place. In his 12 career NHL games, and this dates back to the 5 games he played last season, Gaudette has only been on the ice for 1 5-on-5 goal against and 7-4. That's pretty good for a 5th round pick. Plus, he's still only 21. He's getting better and he's going to get more confident. Also, congratulations on your first NHL point. Lastly, let's now talk about the 1-2 punch down the middle in Elias Pettersson and Bo Horvat. Suddenly, the center core looks like an area of strength. Now, I know many people were calling for this before the season started, and I had my doubts about how strong of a punch this would be, at least immediately and a bit into the future, so I am more than happy to swallow crow right now. Bo has elevated his game to a whole nother level this year, and if playing behind EP in a second-line matchup role against other teams' top players, or vice versa, where he can have maybe more of an impact on the offensive zone, This 1-2 punch is looking to be very strong. And I mean, I always thought that this could be a possibility, it's just that I wasn't sure how EP would adjust to playing center at the NHL. Little did I know it would only take him the preseason. He is a special player and he's going to be the face of the Vancouver Canucks offense. Crazy how fast it's moved away from Boeser to EP, and that is nothing against Brock Boeser. That is a dynamite 1-2 combination in its own right. So that's gonna do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know by leaving a like, as it really helps me out knowing if I'm doing stuff right or wrong. And if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting subscribe and joining all of us on this Canucks journey. And with that, stay calm, keep your head on a swivel, and have a great day.